here we are. I'm always very happy when I reach that level that I can show you my slides and that I get in the right room. So it's a lot of stress that goes away the first minute. I'm getting better and better at that because to connect, you have to be able to use all that technology, which was not in my world when I was younger. So my grandchildren helped me a lot to have a little bit of competence in their world. So it is about connecting in the virtual world. And it starts with self-connection, which means that you have to know yourself and you have to know what you're not able to do and how you can learn to be able to do it. Like myself in doing those kind of presentations that were that was my life for the last couple of months. And in the beginning, it was very difficult because a lot of people said the virtual world is not real. It's a surrogate. It is fake. It is fake. It is not. It is not. It is the same because it happens in the mind and it is changing your mindset and it is doing the things that you think are interesting. They are interesting because you connect better to other people. So, can someone tell me that I'm recording now? Yeah? You can, yeah, I'm recording? Okay, thank you. So, I have a lot of gratitude that you attend this debrief because normally we are now in the garden here and it's beautiful and we see a lot of animals because a lot of, there was just a duck that passed my window and a squirrel and it's filled up with deer here because you see it on the haze in our garden. They eat it, so we can see the presence. So thank you for being here to step out of your world, to come into our world, which is also your world. So, and this morning I found this in front of the door by a courier put there, because they are also anxious to become ill. So they put now the packages on the door. And it was a present from a fired football coach that I work with. And he sent me that with my name on it. And it's really the connection evidence works. The connection evidence works. And that's why I also mentioned these 5 people that presented to keynote speakers and to research teams. I thank them also. You don't know them yet, you know them by name because Marcus Buckingham is one of my favorites. And that's why I start with him. So life quality, he says, is mental toughness. It is being able to change your mindset, going along with the changes you need to do to have that quality of life. So it's not the quality, it's not the balance between your work and your life. No, it's a balance in your life. You only have one life, and that is mental toughness. Don't be immediately anxious about everything that is happening through reading newspapers, where you can find on the first page of the newspaper only bad news. Yesterday, I was very pleased with the new CD of Bob Dylan. So that was one small element of the front page of the newspaper, The Morgan. And I immediately went to the page where this journalist was talking about the new CD, which is absolutely fabulous. There's only 3 numbers that are on Apple Music for Belgium, but it is fantastic. Know yourself and use it. Know your strengths and use them, because emphasizing on strengths makes you better. Emphasizing on strengths make others better. If you're a coach, a boss, a supervisor, a manager, a CEO, whatever you are, it is strengths that make the results, not weaknesses. because weaknesses and emphasizing weaknesses, Buckingham says about, for instance, education in schools, is making you weaker. It eliminates people. And so maybe the best sports people are not the ones that are the number ones of the world. Maybe they stopped because there was too much emphasis on what they are not good at, or too less discussions, connection on how they can improve. Some coaches are really anxious about talking to the best. So sometimes they want to really be very conservative with these people. No, connect, because enthusiasm is common, but you can kill it through that weakness emphasis. Endurance is rare. And that is a book that is interesting. Grit, it's called. The Power of Passion and Perseverance is only driven by strengths, not by weaknesses. So the social capital is a critical contributor to any work that you do. Social capital is, I am connecting to people, people are connecting with me, and it makes people resilient. I think I heard in all the sessions, about the 20 sessions that I followed in the virtual conference, I heard, I think, 1,000 times the word resilience. Resilience associated with longevity, lower rates of depression. We are living in a world where depression looks like a fashionable world. For the people that really suffer from it, it is not fashionable. It is really tough. The mental toughness must be proactively activated. And so the performance, your performance, the other's performance, grows. And you have that quality of life. So they say the HR world must be another world. People are not resources. It's not possible to talk about people as resources. No, they are people. And through connection, they contribute more. So you have to go to what is a real team. That is the best team. Real-time data, frequent conversations, agile, dynamic teams that have names, that are persons, that are not resources. So that is one of the main things in connection. Think about the others in a connecting process, because it is a process. It's not a one trip. No, it is a connection continuously and in a way that is situational. So we have taken those ducks here as an example. As I said, we have several families of ducks and Canadian geese here in our garden. And so we live with them, and we can see how they are together, how those families are connected, moving individuals toward team membership. Those little ducks are educated continuously. Those parents are always with them. We can learn from that. It is based on shared identity, empathy, and understanding. When a little duck goes away too far, you can see one of the parents going to that little duck, and so they split up to keep the group together, to make a team. So the connection is a superpower for you. It makes you healthier, smarter, resilient to stress. It heals also stress damage. So I invite you to connect to us, to connect, to be always connected. Sometimes I give courses. I'm involved in different courses with top coaches, with technical directors, and you can see the difference. Because of course we cannot meet live, it's not allowed, groups of 20, 25, and then you see who is connected. Do they ask questions? I send mails, who is responding? I offer them things for free, and they say, is it obliged? Do I have to do that? So that is the old habit. I know I don't need you. So it is very important to change that mindset because it is the quality of life. It's a superpower for the team connection because you put all the cognition, all the knowledge, everything you have as an experience, you put it together, and the employees, the players, all athletes, the individual will be engaged more and have a quality life, and so feel relaxed. For those who have, of course, you have heard maybe Valerie. So I work with coaches that use a lot. I said it to ATD Smith, who asked the question. We work a lot with Professor Cheron from the ULB, who is a neuroscience guy, and a lot is working with the waves in the brain, and he said, create alpha waves. So that is employee engagement, because you're relaxed with a lot of alpha waves. You are relaxed. And he can see that because he puts a helmet with a lot of wiring, and then he asks questions, and then he see when you're lying, when you're not developing alpha waves with a question. It's not a lie detector. No, it is you want to learn about yourself and don't lie to yourself. Employee engagement, strategic alignment, quality of decisions, innovation, agility, and adaptability. So that is what I experienced with this pandemic situation. How can I be adaptable? Because everybody was always talking not about me, but you are a person in risk. You are with the risk group because of your age. So everybody was the same. Above 60, you were in the risk group, whether you want it or not. So a lot of people don't know what the impact is of those kind of things like social distance. It's not social distance. It is invented by a person that was confused and thought we cannot touch each other. It means social, that we have to. So the choice of the word is completely wrong. It's spatial distance. It's spatial distance. 1.5 meters doesn't make people socially distant, because now I am socially not distant from you. And that asks for a lot of flexibility in the mind. But if you are bombarded with social distance, you think, I cannot do anything anymore. I have to be isolated from the world. No, throw it away, social distance. It is 1.5 meters distance. It is completely different. So that's why I put into my presentation this book of Descartes' Error, where Damasio, a famous writer on the mindset of people, philosopher, and he says in that book, rational decision-making does not exist. It's probably because he's a researcher and a scientist, he says probably, like Tuborg is probably the best beer in the world. You cannot say it is the best, because you never know, but rational decision-making is probably a myth. And we always start with our emotions. And through connection, you can hear from another, now you're emotional. Listen to me, listen to me. Because when we are too emotionally and negative, we don't listen anymore, not at all. So you have to learn about how do I connect with those somatic markers. So it is very important to see that we need innovative behaviors. 90% fall by over innovative behavior. Trust declines, because I'm asking always the question, who is infected by the disease? So I don't dare to touch anyone, even not my grandchildren or my children, because you never know where they went. So trust goes down, and it's a fundamental trust. So if you respect the rules, you have more chance to have an adaptable mind. When your role and goal is clear, it's not decline that clarity, because you discuss continuously. And satisfaction does not decline for more than 50%, but satisfaction grows when you're connected with people. So in front of a screen, you are just as you are. Virtual more than ever, so genuinely connecting through growing trust and individualizing your approach is your future effectiveness. So what we always favored in our work is individualize. Individualize in an individual world to make team come true. Because if you don't emphasize the individual person, yesterday I had a coach on the line and he said, yeah, this athlete is 19 years old and she's not mature. Of course not, of course not. Try to find out why she has that behavior. Try to find out, but don't judge, don't throw it away. Because we throw away often people because of a lack of connection, which was true in the live and now in the virtual world. So it's never not in your mind. And also digital body language supports trust. So it is very important to know that we understand quickly, we misunderstand quickly in the life world. So we have to avoid that through speaking freely and connecting with people that want to speak freely too, which was the basic element, trust and open communication of the system of the teamwork of Lencioni, a model that we use a lot. Argue more, because Lencioni said, if you trust people, you can argue. If you don't trust people, you lie. You laugh whilst you are lying because you agree where you don't agree. And you walk away faster if you're not really connecting to people. If you're not really open, discussing, there's no engagement. So 5 elements that Dawan gave us. Brevity creates confusion. That's why you have to connect often. Communicate your mindset. That's how I feel today. What's going on in my mind? And the number, the frequency, the way you do it, that's your way. But communicate your mind. When I'm doing this, I'm really talking from my heart, not from my brain. Of course, I need my brain, but I have to support it with a lot of enthusiasm that has to last. I don't have to do anything afterwards that is not connected with you or with the ideas that I have or with my enthusiasm. But sometimes you have to hold your horses, because when people disagree in the connection, you have to know that they have the right to disagree. So you don't have to be judgmental. You don't have to be angry. No, you really have to learn to listen. That's from Hemingway. Most people don't listen. Well, it's true. They listen to react. They are forming their ideas, and we have to unlearn that. And unlearning is the most difficult behavior of people. Removing the old chip is the problem, not putting in the new one. But it will be thrown out by the old habits. And that's why some companies don't think about how can we do things differently. And they said, come back to the office. It's better here. We have an example, November 5, where the CEO said, who wants to come back? They don't have to give a reason. But the main reason that we found was, in general, I am fed up being at home with my children and with my partner. Yeah, accept that, accept that. And don't think that there is anything like a model family. No, the family is the connection, like with the ducks. So assume the best intent. Don't think that they have bad intentions. Sometimes the result is different from the intention, but accept that and talk to people and find your voice. That is very important. So visibly value everything. Communicate clearly, collaborate confidently, and trust totally. Trust totally. Everyone. And when you see that you cannot trust anyone, then you see, how come that I don't trust anyone? What can I do to trust more people? It is connecting, to talk, discuss openly, and not fear for discussion or connecting. So what your people need from you is more than ever individualized recognition, restoring, and rewriting, which means recognition. We have to celebrate. We have to celebrate things. And we have to love the belonging. The belonging comes from, I really appreciate you. Like this pen, like this pen. It is extremely important. Don't send me any presents. That's not what I mean with this. But you have to continuously, connect to people to recognize them. Because that installs safety. That we all need. Whoever we are, whatever we do, we need safety. When I know that today I hear a lot of football players, not the national Red Devil players, but a lot of players that say, what's going to happen to me? Cyclists that say, what's going to happen with my team? Because, cycling lives from sponsors, and they don't have really appearance in the press, in the media. And also physiological needs. We have to take care of our body. So we have to work together in a holistic approach, body and mind, not split up. We cannot do things that are not connected with whatever else in our body. So recognize people and make the psychological safety clear through really emphasizing on all the aspects, body, mind, the life quality and those kind of things. Not only the job, the content is important, because then we stay in the hierarchical world where you see here the cartoon, the kids don't listen, so I have to repeat myself. I'm always repeating myself, always saying the same thing more than once. I say it once and then they make me say it again, like in the French resistance English soap on the resistance in the war. I only say it once. It's a very famous saying of René. So we are connected through a process. We cannot not connect or stay connected when we don't call or ask, can we see each other? And whatever the situation is, you can see each other. I almost never call someone without image, never, because I am in favor of that. But some people don't put on their video, it's okay. We ask them, what do you want? Can I call you with video? So you don't come in with video immediately when you think, that's not fitting that person. You don't know what the other person is doing. So what Peter said in the main session is very important. A lot of people say, I would like to come once live, just to have seen you live. Because we have now a limited image. And that helps, like he said, 1 or 2 times a year. That helps. But the main connection will be video, will be virtual. And you need tools like we use. Situational leadership is a main tool from my great friend Paul Hersey died in 2012. And at the ATD, his friend, Kenneth Blanchard, was speaking as a keynote speaker. He is in the 80s. He was speaking as a keynote speaker, and he split up with Hersey because it was a system of Hersey and Blanchard. They were friends. They became friends, and they split up. They divorced. And before, when he heard that Hersey was sick, he contacted him. And he said to me, I'm going to contact Paul. Because we worked a lot together, Paul Hersey and myself. And he knew that I was sad about the fact that they split up. And they were friends when he died in 2012. Well, that is connection. We spoke for years. I didn't speak with Kenneth Blanchard. But we were connected through a conflict. It's possible. And it was not possible to solve the problem. And it has to do with emotional intelligence. How to approach myself in a conflictuous situation. Because the connection is more important for results than anything else. The connection with yourself and the connection with others. And then you create teams. You create teams that start with trust. Trust is the basic element. And then you go up and you have more and more and more result, because people, connected people, make the results. They are creative through the connection. And then you can develop everything what you do. Everything, anything, the products, the service, everything. And that is my finishing of my presentation. Inviting you to ask questions now for the time that we have. And if you have more questions, send them to me, jeff@TICkA.be, or call me. You can find all the information in the presentations on the website, or just send me an email. Thank you very much. Any questions? You have to do it with a loud voice. Huh? Don't keep them inside. Or if you want to ask those questions privately, it's not a problem. Just send me an email. I will be glad to receive many emails.
Jeff, this is Steven. I just have a question. You know that I'm working at Planet Talent with all those young guys.
Yes.
Do you see actually a difference in how they respond or react to the way towards the digital communication and the digital connection,
yes,
compared to people from my age or older?
Yes.
Because I sometimes have difficulties to understand actually how younger people are dealing with this, if there is a difference.
There's a huge difference between one individual and another. And that is my answer. It is not, the stereotype is that we have generations. So I'm not in favor of the X, the Z, the Y, and those kind of generations. That is why I said that situational leadership is such a good concept of what it's based. You don't have to go for what people ask you to do. You have to detect their needs based on their readiness level. And most people, that's what Jung says, most people judge because using your brain is so difficult. Don't use the word difficult. Just try to understand. And the connection makes you more able to understand why this person does that and why that person does this. So it is not judgmental to talk to people. No, judging people is for the judge. So I always say, if you want to judge, you have to do law studies and then become a judge. That's the only one that judges. Even the police cannot judge. They have to write down what you did and then send it to the judge. So we live in a world where there's too much judging. If you look at our country, the art of reconciliation has disappeared. It has disappeared. We all start, I am the norm. But I am not the norm. That's what I said. I'm not the norm. They said we are not going to cure people or allow them to get our services above 65. I don't understand those kind of phrases because it is completely opposite to the idea that age is not at all a criterion. It is how do you feel? How do you adapt yourself to the evolution of the world? How do you continue to learn? And that is the basic element of connection. You learn from all the people you work with. And that is why we go every year to the ATD conference. Even when it's virtual, we go to the conference. And when they, for instance, they took sessions from 2017 that, of course, were recorded, and they represented it because a lot of people loved the presentation. And there were people that said, yeah, I subscribed to the ATD conference, and then they give me something that I saw in 2017. Yeah, but repetition sometimes makes you think. Of course. And I don't go always to learn 100 things, but when I come home, I always have things I learned. And sometimes I learn, oh, that's what I'm doing. So I'm not thinking I'm brilliant, why don't I speak there? No, I said it's a good confirmation is also okay. Discussion can be confrontation about differences, but it can be confrontation with, oh, you do that also. Well, it reinforces my strengths. I have to go back now to the main sessions because otherwise our specialist, Steffi, who is a bit younger than I am, and who is very able to do all those things, will punish me. No, she does not.
Thanks, Jef.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.